One of the most unexpected breakout stars in TV history has gotta be Austin Chumlee Russel. While Rick and Corey Harrison are technically the stars of the show, Chumlee, Corey's childhood buddy, has become one of the most captivating and intriguing figures from the show. Everybody knows a guy like Chumlee, I think, and although he's a bit rotund, a little less than he used to be actually, always bombastic and oftentimes in a tricky situation, Chumlee has one very important thing going for him: boatloads of charisma. And he's been able to channel the sheer force of his personality into a career, and most importantly, quite a bit of attention from the ladies. But being famous is a double-edged sword. On one hand, yay, attention! But on the other hand, you have to constantly question whether the people really love you for you, or whether they are using you for your clout and thick wallet. What's happening? Today we're digging into the complex and captivating love life of this bombastic big boy. From career-driven gals to much younger sweethearts, from drugs and guns to romantic vacations, this unlikely Casanova has seen it all. So, did they really love Chumlee for who he was? Or were they just after his money? And hell, where is Chumlee today? We're gonna answer these questions, but before we begin, please hit that thumbs up icon to show us support. And subscribe to the channel for more Pawn Stars updates. Now let's discover if Chumlee is really king or just a pawn as we go find out.
What happened?
Tanya Hijazi. 2013 was a transitional time in Chumlee's life. He had been on Pawn Stars for a few years, but he was hardly a household name. And he was quickly learning that the things people had mocked him for in the past, his weight, his unique interests, and his personality, were now the very things that would make him into an unorthodox star. That was the year a new Chumlee was born. Little did he know he was about to meet a woman who would change his life forever. Years later, when he found himself staring at prison time, watching his entire life collapse, he said he longed for those simpler days, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Tanya Hijazi isn't the kind of girl you'd expect to get along with old Chumlee Russel. She was a successful chef at a major casino, while he was a sympathy hire at his buddy's family business. She had a mysterious past and a private personal life, while old Chum had frequently made a fool out of himself on national TV.
Don't they just make Cuban cigars in America?
Chumlee is probably one of the dumbest things she ever said.
Tanya was drop-dead gorgeous, and he was, well, let's just say it takes all kinds. But when the pair met at Tanya's birthday party, this lascivious Lebanese lady seemed very interested. And why shouldn't she be? Chumlee had made a name for himself in the world. And the guy sure had personality, so it wasn't so crazy she had genuine interest. Not before long, the pair was dating, and Chumlee enjoyed flexing his new money and his outgoing style with his new lady. Tanya was perfectly happy to receive his gifts. And boy oh boy did he give her some gifts. Like a cake shaped out of a Louis Vuitton bag, for instance. Or later, even a boob job. A pretty big investment if you ask me. But the relationship wasn't just material, and Tanya used her culinary capabilities to help Chumlee lose weight. Something he'd always desperately wanted to do, but never had a clear enough reason to actually follow through. He was finally able to use a hovercraft he'd bought earlier in the series as motivation. A year passed, and then another. And it seemed like the two had survived the honeymoon phase and forged a genuine connection. But neither one of them could have expected what was going to happen next. The pawn to prison pipeline. The year was 2016, and things were just super for Chumlee. He and Tanya had been together for 3 years, and it did seem like marriage was on the table. But in the course of a single day, he would be thinking less about marriage and more about prison, or worse. So what happened to destroy such a fairy tale relationship? Well, let's step into Chumlee's shoes, Jordan's most likely, and find out what happened that fateful day and how it caused his once tender relationship to explode. It was a normal March day in Las Vegas, so about 108 degrees, I assume. Chumlee heard a knock on the door and wondered who it could be. Maybe a pal stopping by, or a too eager fan that tracked him down, or maybe simply a delivery for a new pair of kicks. So you can imagine his surprise when instead he found a swarm of vicious policemen with a warrant. It turns out that police were the last people Chumlee would want anywhere near his apartment, and it had something to do with the stuff Chumlee had lying around. 12 guns, a huge quantity of marijuana, and even some meth. We still don't know exactly why Chumlee had such controversial contraband. Maybe he was used to such a flashy lifestyle he thought he was above the law. Or maybe he got into some criminal underworld of Las Vegas. But either way, he was in big trouble. But unfortunately, this was just the start of Chumlee's problems. Bye, Tanya. So what did Tanya think about all this? After all, Chumlee's flashy ways were what had initially attracted her to him. But one detail came out that would change everything. While the drugs and guns were certainly bad, they weren't the original reason why Chumlee's house was raided. You see, Chumlee had been a person of interest in a sexual assault case, the details of which were never publicly released. So Tanya packed her bag and hit the road. As for Chumlee, he was arrested in that raid and pled guilty to possession of a controlled substance. All he actually ended up getting was parole and avoided jail or prison time. And nothing resulted of that sexual assault case. After years of good behavior, the felonies were downgraded to misdemeanors. But unfortunately, this wasn't enough to get Tanya back. Lucky for him, soon there was another gal involved in Chumlee's business. Hello, Olivia. Although Tanya Hijazi is a pretty private person, her successful career meant that we at least knew a little about her private life. But the next woman in Chumlee's life would turn out to be even more mysterious. There seems to be many secrets in Olivia Radiman's life. Maybe that's what drew Chumlee to her, or maybe that's what destroyed their relationship. Chumlee met Olivia in 2013, around the same time that he met Tanya. Olivia was a student at the University of Nevada and practicing to become a photographer. And Chumlee and the much younger woman were just friends for the course of his relationship with Tanya. Of course, in 2016, everything changed. And when Chumlee was called to account for his skeevy choices, one woman left his life and another one entered. Olivia did not seem to have a problem with Chumlee's lifestyle. In fact, she was okay enough with it that the two were engaged in Hawaii in 2019. Hawaii engagement. What could go wrong? Well, lots in fact. It didn't take long for things to go downhill. Chumlee rapidly gained hundreds of pounds back, and his new wife grew tired of Chumlee's constant traveling. The very thing that drew her to him may have been the thing that pushed them apart. And in 2020, the pair stopped posting photos together, and not long after, Olivia was now posting photos with an attractive young poker player. Ouch. And Chumlee was once more left with a single life, his cars, sneakers, and pals, but without a woman to share his life with. Now, the guy is certainly kept busy. Chumlee spends lots of time going to the club, digging deep into the trading business, and of course, running his new candy business across the street. But I'm sure that things are, shall we say, bittersweet. Chumlee really is a great example of how complicated things are. Sometimes it seems you can have it all, the money, fame, and jet-setting lifestyle, and still manage domestic comfort and romantic love. But then things inevitably collapse, couples grow apart, tensions are strained, and relationships end. Chumlee has finally gotten everything he ever thought he wanted, but the one thing he's always been chasing still eludes him. So will Chumlee ever find love? I guess we'll have to keep tuning in to Pawn Stars to find out. Alright, that's enough pontificating from me. What do you think? Who is your favorite cast member from Pawn Stars? Do you think these women really loved Chumlee for him, or were they just using his famous name? Get in the comments and tell us your thoughts, as well as who we should cover next. Before you go, hit that thumbs up icon to show us support. Subscribe to our channel and come back often so we can keep telling you what happened.
What happened?